My mother has been on a boyfriend bender since she divorced my dad and stepdad, but she wants to bring her new thing to my wedding, and now she's furious that I said he can't come because I don't want to know him. I, 33 non-binary, am not close with my mother, 55F, at all. She divorced my dad, 60M, when I was 7 and almost immediately married my stepfather, Mark, whom despite everything, I was close with. They remained married until I was 16. I was upset when she divorced him and went to live with my dad and stepmom. In my adult life, I've chosen to remain close to my stepdad and even attended his wedding to his current wife, who is a very nice woman. My dad and my stepmom are great people. Since her divorce to my stepdad, my mom has been in and out of relationships, each time claiming this guy is the love of her life until they do something she doesn't like and they aren't the love of her life anymore. Both divorces with my dad and my stepdad were for very petty reasons. Dad, I think because he wouldn't allow her to get a new car because the budget was tight. I think the one that lasted the longest was 6 years, and I think it's the current guy she's with, according to my sister. After I left home, she never did anything with me without her boyfriends. When I was 25, she broke up with her boyfriend and tried to cry to me about it. After working with my therapist, I set the boundary with my mother that if she wasn't willing to do anything with me without her boyfriend, to not bother, and I didn't want to talk about her love life. She was very hurt and we fell out for a while, but she came back around about a year later and has respected my rules since, but we only get together about 3 or 4 times per year. I understand that my mom's relationships and love life are important to her, so I respect that we don't get together often. Fast forward to this year, I'm getting married to my partner, 35M, of the decade in October. It's a small intimate backyard wedding and reception/barbecue. We live in a rural area and our backyard wedding will have roughly 40 people. My dad, stepmom, stepdad and his new wife have all been invited. My mom asked if she could bring her boyfriend. I said no because I don't know him. My mom asked if she could bring him to meet me so I could meet him before the wedding. I said no and that I still had no interest in meeting her boyfriends. She said she understood, but she felt it was unfair that I wasn't allowing her A+1 to my wedding when my dad and my stepdad were allowed to bring their spouses. I told her that the difference was that I knew their spouses. She wanted to know why I was so adamant about refusing to get to know her boyfriend. I explained to her that I saw no need since she'd just break up with them and move on to someone else eventually, as she has always done before. She started to cry and told me I was being unreasonable and treating her as if she's a hoe. Both my fiancé and my sister feel like I should suck it up for one day and let her bring her boyfriend so she can be comfortable there. I'm seriously considering it, but I wanted to know if I'm a jerk here for sticking to my boundary at my wedding and what your thoughts are. Update: after reading everything here, I've decided to email my mother and invite him. I was already leaning towards telling her that he can come when I posted. I decided to set some ground rules for my mother. He is there as A+1 to my mother only. I made it clear to her that he is not my family and he is not my stepfather, so I will appreciate her not telling other people at the wedding he is my stepfather. Mark is my stepfather and he will be there. He is not to be in any family photos. In fairness, my stepdad Mark won't be in any family photos either, only my mom, dad, stepmom, and my siblings. He is not to approach me at any point during the wedding and reception. This does not change my previous boundaries. I'm only allowing him to come for her own comfort and to create a sense of fairness. I respect the fact she is in a relationship, but that her love life has nothing to do with me and wish to keep it that way. I told my mother that these are my terms for him being at my wedding and my terms are final, and that I hope she can respect the fact that I'm trying to be reasonable. I used this opportunity to remind her the reasons I put the boundary up in the first place. These reasons included forcing me to do activities with her shorter-term boyfriends in the past, forcing me to only discuss her love life while showing no interest in my life, and putting her relationships above her own children. If she responds, I'll let everyone know. Update 2, my mom called me within 10 minutes of getting the email. She thanked me for allowing him to come and said they would abide by my terms. She said she felt really hurt that during her actions during her midlife crisis are why I'm refusing to meet her current boyfriend, who she says she's been with for 7.5 years, and that she thought things would eventually calm down enough where I would be comfortable meeting him. She said she now realizes that it will never happen. I told her that I'm firm on my stance. I think she started to cry, but she said she understood and only wants him there because being around my dad and stepdad and their new wives, my dad has been married for 23 years and my stepdad for 12, makes her anxious and he helps keep her calm. She said she respects my stance and said it's her own fault I feel this way. I felt this may be the start of a guilt trip, so I politely ended the call. Update 3. I've decided to estrange myself from my mother. We haven't gotten along since I was 16 and the last several years have been really bad. We only get together about 2 to 4 times per year and it always ends with us fighting. I'm tired of it. I'll be honest. I've considered many times cutting contact with her, but the one thing that's preventing me from fully severing ties is her parents, my grandparents. I love them very much and they are still hurting from my brother choosing to sever ties with her and keeping in low contact with that side of the family. My brother had valid reasons for doing this to her, and he will get together with my grandparents if my mother isn't there, but it's hard because they want to see him at the holidays and during special moments. I'm getting married in October, and this will be the first event where my mom and brother are in the same area. I've told both of them to stay away from each other, but I'm anticipating there will be drama because my mom doesn't like to hear she can't do something. I want to make it so we can see each other and be cordial at family events but not hang out otherwise. My youngest brother does something similar. I don't want to write her a letter because I fear that will cause more drama, but I expect she'll eventually call and want to do something with me, but I want to say no unless it's at a larger family function. How should I do this? Update 4. My fiancé, 35M, and I, 33NB, are getting married in 2 weeks in our backyard. We will be having a catering speed for our reception afterwards. We decided to have a dry wedding for 2 reasons. My mom is an alcoholic who is known for making a scene when she gets drunk, and my fiancé has a brother who binge drinks and has had alcohol poisoning on more than one occasion. He doesn't drink all the time, but if he starts, he can't stop until he either passes out or someone physically restrains him from getting more. I also have an uncle, mom's brother, and a stepdad who are in recovery and don't need the temptation. Neither fiancé and I are big drinkers, so we decided to just avoid any problems and just have a dry wedding. We will have a less dry reception party / honeymoon with some of our friends later on. All of our families have been supportive. My uncle was especially grateful to us for doing this since he takes his recovery very seriously and has been 7 years sober. I sent out wedding invitations 4 months ago and said it would be a dry wedding and asked people not to bring alcohol. Now today I get this call from my mom, who I also sent an invitation to 4 months ago. Mom, is it true you're not having alcohol at your wedding? Me, yes. Fiancé and I decided we didn't want alcohol during our special time. Mom, that's so silly. It's going to make your wedding boring. Me, well, I'm sorry you feel that way, but, fiancé, and I have made our decision. We want everyone to feel comfortable at our wedding. Mom, clearly, you don't care about my comfort. What if I want to have a little drink to pass the time? Me, like you did at a different Uncle S wedding where you got so drunk and made a horrible scene calling Uncle S wife a gold digger? Mom, it wasn't my fault. They made the drinks there too strong. Me, right, I really wish you would address this need to have alcohol wherever you go. Mom, I don't need to have alcohol. I just think your wedding will be boring without it. You want to have a fun wedding, don't you? Me, it will be a fun wedding. We don't need alcohol to have fun. Mom, this is so stupid. Why should everyone else be punished just to make it comfortable for a few people? It seems like you care more about uncle and stepdad than anyone else. Me, or maybe I just want to avoid any scenes. Mom, I just told you, that wasn't my fault. Me, just like your DUI isn't your fault? Mom, how dare you bring up that difficult time in my life? I was going through a lot emotionally. What the hell is wrong with you kids? You need to mind your own business. If I want to drink, that's my business. Me, well, my wedding is my business. We do not want alcohol there. That's final. I can't stop you if you decide to pregame my wedding, but I've already made it clear to uncles and brothers that if you cause a scene, that you are to be made to leave. Mom starts crying. Why do you kids hate me so much? What did I ever do to deserve to be treated like this by my children? Me, are you really ready for me to go down that list? Mom, none of you understand. None of you will ever understand. I'm the mother of the bride, I should be treated better than this. Me, I think I've treated you pretty well during this process. I've acquiesced to your boyfriend whom I don't even know coming to my wedding. I've even given in to some of your other demands. So please tell me how you've been mistreated? Mom, you didn't invite me to go dress shopping. The mother of the bride always goes dress shopping with her daughter. I barely know, fiancé, because you never bring him around me. How do I know that you're marrying the right person? Me, that's because Aunt made my dress. Mom, sarcastically, well, isn't that just special? Me, sighing, as for the rest, I think you know why. We aren't really close enough for you to have any say in who my significant other is. Honestly, Mom, I'm done with this conversation. If you really feel that strongly about this, I'll understand if you don't want to attend my wedding. Mom, oh, I bet you'd like that, wouldn't you? One way or another you will respect me as your mother. Me, sure, Mom. I'm hanging up now. Bye. Guys, I'm so livid right now. I have half a mind to uninvite her. I spoke to my dad and her brother. My uncle thinks her drinking is getting really bad again and has been wanting to hold an intervention. I told him I'm focused on the wedding right now, but that I definitely agree this was out of line and something needs to be done. What do I do? I don't want her ruining my wedding, but I'm so tired of dealing with this. Sorry, this is probably above Reddit's pay grade, but I just needed to vent. Update 5, I sent a text reiterating the rules. She said she knows where she isn't welcome and said she won't attend. My dad told me not to worry about this anymore and that he'll see to it she doesn't ruin my wedding. Update 6. I sent this text to my mom. Mother, at this point I'm going to officially uninvite you from my wedding. I'm not going to allow you to change your mind, and I'd prefer it if you not come to my wedding at all given your poor behavior. At this point, I've decided I don't want any further contact with you unless you decide to curb your toxic behaviors and drinking. I wish you the best. I hope you can find a way to heal, but I can't do this anymore. I'm sorry if this hurts you, but I can't handle you in my life anymore. If you try to force the issue, I'll be forced to take legal action up to and including contacting law enforcement. Please don't contact me again. I went to delete her from my Facebook page only to find a post that she had just written saying how being a mother is a thankless job and how she doesn't understand how she raised rude and judgmental kids. She ended it by saying she hopes her kids get over themselves someday. I'm done. This sucks, but it's been a long time coming. My head hurts. Update 7. Firstly, I want to thank everyone for the support. You have no idea how much your love and constructive comments mean to me. I'm glad I'm not alone. It's not a huge update. But I guess my grandparents and uncles have had enough. They've decided to stage an intervention next weekend. If she refuses to get help, she will no longer be welcomed at family events and she will no longer be part of the family. They told me not to worry about it. My sister will go as she's the only one of her children that even has a real relationship with her, but even my sister said that if she doesn't get help, she will cut her off too. I'm hoping and praying this works, but given that she spent 1 year in rehab and the second she was off probation chose to drink again doesn't give me a lot of hope. My dad told me he's hiring the local biker gang to act as security. We live in a small town and the nearest big city is about an hour away, so it would really expensive to have a security company come out. I don't have a problem with that. This is the type of gang that helps out abused kids and animals, and they do a lot of good where I live. The worst I've heard about them is they doled out some rural justice to a guy that was beating up the sister of one of the members and ran him out of town. When my mom got her DUI, she ran into someone's house and car. When she tried to back out, no one was hurt, thank goodness. And I guess it was the house of a relation of someone in the gang, so they agreed to help, and my dad is paying them to be security just in case. They know my family, one of my dad's cousins is a member, and they know my mom. I think she dated a guy in the gang at one point, and what to look out for. It may be mood if she ends up in rehab. I'm not stressing about her anymore. I have 13 days until my wedding. I'm going to focus on the final touches and just enjoy myself. My biological mom made her choices. Now that I've stood up for myself, I feel nothing but relief. My stepmom will be there and I see her more as my real mom, so it's all fine. I've been through a lot of therapy already, so I've had to make peace with how my actual mother is. Update 8. Well, it happened yesterday. I got into a fight with my mother and officially estranged myself from her. It sucks, and I had a gnarly headache when I was done. Her drinking and behavior just proved too much, and I had to Uninvite her from my wedding. I feel sad it came to this, but the most powerful feeling I have is relief. Update 9. I didn't think I'd be back so soon. But it's my mom's world and we all just live in it. My mother got 911 called on her for domestic violence on Tuesday. She apparently started throwing wine bottles at her boyfriend, who locked himself in the bathroom, and called the cops while she destroyed their place in one of her temper tantrums. She wasn't making any sense when the cops got there, so they restrained her and took her to a hospital. She's been stuck in the psychiatric ward ever since. My sister was listed as a contact for her and she got the call about mom on Wednesday. The doctors at the hospital spoke to my sister and they think she may be showing signs of alcohol-related dementia and some sort of psychotic disorder like bipolar disorder. They currently have her in alcohol detox, and from what my sister was told, it's pretty bad. They won't allow her visitors until she's out of detox, not that anyone really has a desire to visit her anymore. My sister and I decided enough was enough, and we've petitioned a guardianship for her yesterday at the request of a social worker who interviewed my sister, my uncles, my grandparents, and myself. A guardianship means they can hold her while it winds through the system rather than her being released after 72 hours. My grandmother's upset as she thinks all of the issues should be kept in the family and the state shouldn't step in. My uncles and grandfather are on the side of having a guardianship. As far as they're concerned, she's not welcome in the family anymore, and they won't allow her to continue to take advantage of anyone in the family anymore. My sister and I say let her be a professional's problem and let them figure out what to do with her. My brothers don't care and have effectively washed their hands of her years ago, so their stance is whatever keeps her as far away as humanly possible. We can't deal with her anymore, and why should we? With the guardianship petitioned, I'm working on washing my hands of this situation entirely. I'm sure I'll be interviewed about why a guardianship is necessary, but other than that, I don't plan to have any further contact with my mom unless she apologizes and makes amends for her behavior, if that's something she's even capable of anymore. I just don't see that happening, and any compassion or understanding I had for her in the past is gone. Whatever state her life is in, she brought it on herself. I just want to move on with my life without her in it and be done with her for good. It doesn't look like she'll be released from the hospital anytime soon, so there's no risk of her attending my wedding. I did talk to her boyfriend yesterday after sister and I filed our paperwork, and we decided to invite him to lunch. He's decided to break up with her for good, and we learned just how bad things were with her. He's a real nice guy who's been caught up in a bad situation and had no clue how bad she could be. I feel really bad for him. I did decide to invite him to my wedding, as I can tell he's a lonely dude who's been to hell and back. Not sure he'll show, but the offer is there. There was a time I'd have allowed an event like this to ruin the run-up to the wedding, but I've been able to separate my mom's behavior from the wedding. It hasn't put a damper on it. Now that my mom is squared away, I can enjoy myself. I just put the final touches on the catering order and am expecting the last of my supplies. My aunt wants to put the final touches on my wedding attire. If I haven't mentioned, both fiancé and I are huge steampunk fans, and so we're wearing steampunk attire and encouraging everyone else to dress in steampunk, not required, though. My wedding dress is actually more of a suit situation, but it looks badass. I don't think I'll update again, as I want to put all of this behind me and I don't plan to have any contact with my mother going forward. I'm looking forward to a bright future with my husband. My mom can stay in the past, and as cold and heartless as it sounds, I'm glad she's not going to be my family's problem anymore. Update 10. I never knew dealing with my alcoholic mother was worthy of a best of post. I just wanted to rant and sanity check myself. Only news on my mother is she's out of detox and currently in a catatonic state, refusing to speak, eat, or drink water. They may install a feeding tube if she doesn't let up. I think she's trying to be dramatic and get attention, so do my uncles. I could be wrong, but honestly I don't care anymore. We're not sure she has dementia, but she definitely has something going on, but doing any kind of evaluation while she acts like this is difficult. She also has liver disease, needs dialysis and possibly even a transplant, if she qualifies. The doctors made it very clear if she doesn't quit drinking, she will die within the next 5 years, and it may even still be too late. I think I'd feel more sad, but I've had to realize that I lost my mother long ago. I did invite my mom's boyfriend, but he chose not to come. He's decided to get help for his own alcohol issues, according to my sister. I wish him the best. As for the wedding, I'm now happily married, and on Wednesday I took a pregnancy test that came back positive. We're super excited but haven't told anyone in our family yet. The wedding was fantastic and the day went off without a hitch. We had a blast and are heading out on our honeymoon on Wednesday to Costa Rica. My brothers and stepbrothers very sweetly hazed my husband during the at-home bachelor party and made it clear they're excited to have another brother. My stepmom did all of the mom stuff during the wedding. That was already planned before all of this. No one snuck in alcohol, there weren't any scenes. The worst that happened was my sister crying due to all of the stress she's been under. I do have some sympathy, but most of it is self-inflicted though, because she enables. But all in all, it was a great day and I was surrounded by those I love most. I know a lot of people ask for pics on my wedding suit. I will see if there's some way I can crop identifying stuff from it and post it here once I get my wedding pictures back. Otherwise, I'll figure out a way to post the outfits themselves. That's all I have. I'll try and update after my honeymoon. Now it seems like baby is coming, so no promises. Update 11. I guess this is an update for anyone who's read my previous posts. Along with another IDA question. My 33NB mother, 55F, had a meltdown that resulted in her being arrested and hospitalized. At the urging of the social worker at the hospital, we found a third party willing to serve as my mother's guardian and filed a petition for guardianship. She is going on disability and will be on disability for the rest of her life. She recently was put into a long-term psychiatric group home. She's been diagnosed with Wernicke-Korsakoff syndrome with encephalopathy. Per the MRI, she's lost quite a bit of gray matter and liver disease. She's 55 and even with liver dialysis, it's unlikely she'll see 60, and she is unlikely to be eligible for a transplant unless the lack of alcohol causes her dementia to be reversed, and it'll be a year before we know if there's any sign of that. Even though I'm pregnant with my first, I've decided to be the main point of contact with a guardian. I feel it's my duty as the eldest child. The problem is my grandma really wants her to come live with them, and it's causing conflict with my granddad, who keeps telling her to back off and that we should listen to the experts. My grandma means well and is an immigrant. She comes from a country where care for someone always falls to the family and government involvement would be bad, and for the record, we live in the US. She's becoming more and more insistent that someone in the family should care for her. My granddad says they're too old, in their 80s, and he's been angry because he believes my mother did this to herself. I think it's just his way of dealing with the situation and handling grief. He refuses to visit her, and my grandmother can only visit if one of my uncles visits. My grandmother is insisting that my sister or myself should allow my mother to move in and take care of her. She even offered to move in too to help. I told her no, and that I had to focus on my growing family, and I don't have the time and the resources to take her to dialysis and her medical appointments, nor do I want to handle the conflict when my mother refuses to do something. If my mother decides to drink or has an episode, I don't want Milo to be around that. My sister feels similarly and wants to put the focus on her two kids and feels like she enabled my mother a lot already. My grandmother did not take the news well. Now I got a few of my cousins calling me and saying family should care for family. My mom cared for me as best as she could and now it's my turn to care for her. Normally, I'd never allow this kind of thing to get to me, but the pregnancy hormones are kicking in and I feel awful. Ida for refusing to care for my mother and letting a third party be her guardian? ETA, one thing I didn't mention is that it's currently kind of an open secret in my family that I'm pregnant. I haven't officially announced anything because I'm only 9 weeks along. I don't want to announce until the second trimester, but family members are convinced, and I think my grandma suspects this is the reason for my reluctance. She knows we've been trying. I also wanted to say, I love my grandma, but she is hurting right now over this and feels like she's failed her daughter. I'm trying to be as patient as humanly possible with her. I'm getting to my limit, but I don't want to yell at my 80-plus YO grandmother. There is a court date to make the guardianship official on Friday. I spoke with a guardian this morning about my grandmother and that she objects to the guardianship. She suggested my sister and I sitting down with my grandmother, the social worker and doctor where my mom is at, and addressing her concerns and working out a schedule for my grandmother to visit twice per week. She's trying to set that up after the court hearing on Friday. The cousins in question are nosy busybodies and I don't like them. They're the product from my uncle's previous marriage to a religious zealot that I hated, and she hated our family. I had no problem telling their father what had occurred and screenshot the text messages. He yelled at them saying that my mother's condition is too severe for her to live with anyone and that they need to stay out of it and mind their business. I told them where to stick it and not to contact my sister or me about this again. I let my hormones get to me yesterday, I think. I'll try to update this weekend. Reddit has become a major sanity check for me. Update 12. We had the court date. My mother is officially under a guardianship. My grandmother did lodge an official objection to the guardianship and said her piece. She was shut down by the judge, who said the amount of care and security my mother needs is an undue burden on family, and straight up said, family was deemed incapable of caring for my mother by hospital social workers before she was transferred to rehab. He also said if my mother were deemed competent, she could be looking at felony domestic violence charges. My grandma was mad and almost had to be ejected from the courtroom, but she calmed down. The next day my sister and I took my grandma to the hospital my mom is at. She's currently in rehab/psychiatric hospital and will be here for at least the next year and possibly for good depending how the next year goes. Her attending physician and social worker was there along with a guardian, and I discovered they came in on a weekend just to meet with us. That was very nice of them. My grandmother didn't really object to her being at this facility and knew my mom needed help. It basically became an intervention/come to Jesus moment with my grandma. With the guardian's permission, they sat down and explained all of my mother's health problems. They even went so far as to show my grandma the picture of a normal liver and the MRI scan of my mom's liver. They did the same with her brain. The guardian also sat down and listed just how much legal trouble my mom had been getting herself into the past 2 years, and even my sister and I were shocked as we didn't know just how many brushes with the law my mom had, but they had become almost monthly occurrences. I ended up telling her what some of the fine folks of Reddit told me. That neither my sister or I can keep her safe. What if she becomes aggressive or violent? What if she hurt my sister's kids? We cannot make our places secure enough to stay there, and the only way my mother's life even have a chance at being saved is if she quits drinking. If she lives with us, we cannot guarantee she won't drink. That staff here are better equipped to handle all of her issues. All of us were very clear that none of this is grandma's fault and mom is reaping the consequences for her own choices. Next up was probably the most heartbreaking part for my grandma. She saw my mother for the first time since all of this happened. Now I may have mentioned that my mom was in a catatonic state when she was hospitalized. She still kind of goes in and out of that state. I didn't take it very seriously at the time, but it's still an ongoing issue, and some days she winds up back in that state and other days she is more active. That day, she was definitely more subdued and very quiet. For anyone who knows anything about WKS, she basically is living in a 51st date scenario. She has a day, goes to sleep, wakes up, and has no memory of the day before. I can only imagine how scary it is for her. A staff member basically has to remind her day in and day out where she is and how she wound up in there. They keep a copy of the police report on her nightstand. She still is very confused a lot of the time and also getting used to being on medication for her bipolar disorder too. We've seen a lot of improvements since she started liver dialysis, so we're somewhat hopeful she will get a little better in time. She's lost some weight but looks way less put together and haggard. Her skin looks less yellow, but she is very pale. She was sitting and trying to write when we came. My grandma broke down when she saw her. My mother cried too and kept repeating, "I'm sorry." My sister and I decided to let them have some alone time together and grabbed lunch across the street. When we came back half an hour later, we told my grandma we had to get going and leave, but we'd bring her back next week. My mom asked when she could leave, and it was my grandma who said, "Honey, you'll need to stay here for a while." Everyone here just wants to help. But in order for you to get better, you have to stay here. My mom seemed sad and looked like she was about to cry again, but nodded her head. My sister and I gave her a hug, but I think she's mad at us. One thing we learned is that she thinks her kids put her here. If she wants to be mad at us, that's fine. Not even the second grandma got situated in the backseat of our car, she broke down hard. She was sobbing the entire way back. I felt so bad for her. My sister sat back there holding her while I drove back to Grandma and Grandpa's house. We stayed with Grandma for a bit as my grandpa gets agitated by too much emotion. She apologized for her behavior and for trying to force us to care for her. She realizes now how bad off my mom is and understands she's where she needs to be. She was sad but doing better by the time we left. My grandpa said he and my uncle will take her to visit on Tuesday, and I took some further advice and suggested we set up a schedule for Grandma to visit 2 times per week. My sister and I agreed we will take her there once per month each, as that's the most we can handle. Anyways, I really hope this is my last update about my mother. What happens now, no one knows, but she is safe and can't hurt me or anyone anymore. Update 13. Hi. I still see messages asking for updates whenever I log in. I don't log in very often as I'm very busy. Here's what's going on. My family as well. I've been spending more time with my dad and his family, including my aunts, uncle, and my 93-year-old grandmother. My grandfather on my mother's side had a minor stroke. His right arm doesn't move right, he's legally blind and can no longer drive, but he can talk and walk even if it's difficult at times. After that drama with my grandpa, I've been putting a little more distance between my biomom's side of the family. I got tired of the dysfunction, drama, and petty fighting. I still love them and their family, but I need to focus on my family and not their dysfunction. My mom is not good. Her health is rapidly deteriorating. She's been going for kidney dialysis 3x per week. In my previous post, I got a little confused. She has acute cirrhosis of the liver, and when they mentioned dialysis, I thought it was liver dialysis, but nope, her kidney function is poor too. Liver dialysis isn't really a thing. But both her kidneys and liver are failing, and the chances aren't looking good that she'll qualify for a transplant, as she has been diagnosed with alcohol-related dementia. Without a transplant, her life expectancy is less than 2 years. The plan is to move her into a skilled nursing facility and get her hospice care. On that front, I haven't visited in 6 months. All she really does anymore is stare out the window. She doesn't talk much or get out of bed often. She can barely walk. It was too emotionally draining and stressful to visit her, so I stopped. That may sound heartless, but once again, I need to look out for me. There's nothing I can say or do. I thought her being sickly would make me feel something for her, but I only see someone who chose to do this to themselves instead of getting help. I know that isn't fair or necessarily true of addiction, but disdain is the only emotion I can muster. My uncle in AA came to visit her, and when he saw her, he said that just strengthened his resolve to stay sober, and he saw what would happen if he didn't. It's sad and somewhat embarrassing. My mother is the poster child of why you stay sober. My sister has taken the lead in keeping up with her needs and visiting. She was always closest to my mom, so it makes sense. That's all I have. Maybe I'll check in again. I might be too busy to do so. Update 14. For those that still care. I had my baby. She's beautiful. My spouse and I originally planned to have kids back to back, but that seems insane to me now. We decided to do IVF and surrogacy for the next one. My gender dysphoria after pregnancy got kind of bad, but not PPD bad, or if it was PPD, that's how it manifested, and I'm doing much better. I'm doing what I can now to feel comfortable with myself, and over the summer we'll start IVF. After that, my spouse and I are going to transition together. We're going strong. We're still figuring out how to transition with kids, but we'll figure it out. I read my post on Baru, which was weird. People had questions about why I distanced myself from my mom's side of the family. I came to realize after my grandfather's stroke that there is a lot of drama on that side of the family, and I finally saw the dysfunction for what it was. I don't want my child exposed to that kind of dysfunctional family. For the good of myself as a parent and my child, I decided to set boundaries and keep my distance. I love them, but I cannot handle the dysfunction and the fights. My uncles have actually been understanding and are working to be better. I see and talk to a couple of them on an individual basis. My grandparents, not so much. My grandmother is angry with me and believes my dad and new spouse have brainwashed me. She thinks family is family and I need to just accept my family as is. I hope someday I can come back into the fold, but not as things currently stand. Now for the big news, my mother will die soon. The plan is to stop dialysis, and she probably won't last more than a day. Her liver has shut down completely. I saw her this weekend to say goodbye. I never saw yellow skin like that before. I've kept myself out of the loop for my own sanity, so I don't really know when or the logistics. I was just told it's unlikely she'll see Thanksgiving this year. She is unaware of herself and her surroundings. As messed up as it is to say, I think death will be a mercy for all of us. Here's what's super messed up. I'm honestly relieved this is happening. She can't hurt anyone anymore, and most importantly, this problem will finally be over. I know how messed up that sounds. I feel like a monster saying that, but I look at my daughter and realize my own mother chose alcohol over her children. I can't imagine doing anything like that. So honestly, what good is she to the world at that point? She failed as a mother, and for the past decade she's been nothing more than an annoying stranger to me. I wish things could have been different, but they weren't, and it'll be nice to move on from this once and for all. I don't think there's any need to update on this account again since my mother will be gone soon. I want to move forward with my life. That said, thank you to everyone. Even those who were critical. I get it. I really learned from reading the comments, and I wanted to say thank you one last time.